and welcome again to our Snow Horse Marketing Podcast. Today, we are excited to have Dan with us. Dan is a trainer in marketing and has been in the marketing world for over 15 years. He is also a fellow podcaster and is a partner with HubSpot and helps people train and improve in those areas. Thank you so much for being with us today, Dan.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate you having me on your show.
Oh, certainly. We are excited. I love the topic that we chose for today. It's marketing integrated into CRMs. I feel like it is a necessary topic.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because I think about, like, we're talking about that today, but I think back to like 15 years ago when I was doing this and I was, air quotes, just the marketer. But all of my marketing was based on our context. Like, why isn't CRM just integrated with marketing? It just, like, of course. So yeah, I love this. This will be fun.
Yeah, this will be a great topic. So just kind of to kick us off, I'll share a little experience that we've had. We work with distribution platforms for our clients that distribute ads to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, everywhere. And one thing that we really prefer having is a CRM, CSV email list to help us with the targeting, as we're able to use LiveRamp and other audience buyers and, checkers through Google and whatnot. We're able to make sure the targeting is the most accurate. And one thing I have found that has surprised me is how many organizations just don't have a list of who their ideal clients, like an email list of your ideal clients. Have you ever run across that? What has been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, so the way you described it is like we're using social media to connect with folks, and that's where we are. And then we also need that email list. And here's how I agree with you. And I also think about it this way. So many folks I talk to, whether they're small nonprofits, even big nonprofits, small businesses, solopreneurs, whatever that looks like, they'll often say, I want to do marketing, so I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm going to start TikTok. I did, whatever. I'm like, okay, that's great. Love that. That's where we all are. We're in social media. We're talking. You're connecting. But that's rented space, right? As we learned with Twitter, when it became X, it all fell apart. You don't know what's going to happen, right? Having those emails is so critical. Having a home base of a website is so critical. So a CRM, having that email list, 100% agree. And I do see that sometimes. Like, yeah, how do you reach your people? Oh, I just go on social media. Okay, good. And also, what's next? So, yeah.
Well, and so many individuals don't really. I remember, I don't know, you might remember this, a couple years ago when Facebook was shut down for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And everyone was freaking out. And I'm like, yeah, what are you doing? And not just that, but the algorithms change. 2 years ago, we had tons of people come because the algorithm on Instagram changed and they were losing tens of thousands of dollars in revenue a month because an algorithm changed. And those who had their data, we were able to help them get that back very quickly. Those who didn't have their own data, it took another 90 days to 6 months to get back there. And a lot of people don't realize that those changes are happening. You don't actually own that. It's why having, your own website, your own CRM, everything tied together, you want to own your own data. It's really important to have that and make sure that it's stored correctly. There's lots of laws around it now. Make sure you're checking all the legal boxes or working with someone who knows how to check all those legal boxes. But yeah, that's a trend that I've seen. I mean, and then this year, the big changes are happening on LinkedIn and everyone's like holding on to their horses and freaking out. And I'm like, well, as long as you've been collecting the data, and there's lots of third parties that you can still use that can help you, hey, here's my list. How do I connect with these people? But it's important to make sure that you're keeping track of who that is. And not just that, but also as you filter through that information, not just who's coming to your page, not just who's purchasing, but who's purchasing what you want them to purchase, or who's getting those contracts that you want the most, and who are those people?
Yeah. And that's like when you describe a CRM, you mentioned a database, a spreadsheet, a CSV. At its most basic level, sure, that works. Absolutely. If you have nowhere else to start there. Great. But as you start talking about segments and reaching them and understanding what they're doing, now you're bringing into the mix things like segmentation and personas and lists and analytics, right? What are they buying from us? What website pages are they looking at? Have they seen our pricing page lately? If you have a prospect looking at your pricing page, awesome, we're happy about that. A customer looking at your pricing page, are they looking to jump ship? Are they wondering about their value? Why are they there? That CRM, that contact relationship management system, should have all those features and be able to help you as a marketer, you as a business owner, you as a sales professional understand those contacts and those people and be able to serve them better. So yeah, if you want to start with a CSV, great. It's a place to start. You're going to find probably you want to quickly build on that and actually have it.
Oh yeah, and once you have that, you can import it into other systems, whether it's a marketing system, whether it's an email system, if you're doing MailChimp. I mean, it's great if you can sync all those things together, but you want to make sure that you have something to build off of. And the more complex you can get, I know I've run into many decision makers and many organizations where they feel like it's just so complex to do. And it is, like, it's complex to build that stuff out, but it's well worth the effort. Every organization I've worked with who has done that, they get double, triple the performance of the other, just because they know their stuff. They know their numbers, they know their data, they know their targeting. And so we're able to more accurately leverage the marketing. You're not wasting dollars exploring what's working.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the power of data, right? Being able to find that the information, make those decisions. You know, we've got intuition, we have behavior, all these things we can look at, and also it's not a binary decision, this or that. It's and also we have that data, and that's going to help us. So yeah, great points there for sure.
Oh, certainly. And I will also point out there, like, the laws have changed, even on major platforms. The major platforms will only store your data for 90 days now because the laws have changed on that.
Yeah. And as a consumer, I'm like, yes, I love that. Great. That's great. That's cool. As a marketer at heart, like, oh man, what am I going to do now? Right. And that's one of the hats we wear, you know?
And then Facebook will take away certain targeting things. You're like, oh, we were using that.
Yeah. Exactly. But then as I'm scrolling my feed, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, I'm like, I don't want that garbage. I want what I want. So yeah, I get it. It's the empathetic marketer in me though.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. No, it's definitely a blend, and it's hard to stay on top of all the things that change. I know we've had several clients, and I'm sure you've worked with clients as well, who they are in Europe. And so you have to work with the GDPR standards, which is the European standards for protecting individual information. And those are much more restrictive than the US ones.
Yeah. And it's wild to me. So I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a GDPR expert. What's wild to me is that it's not like I've made the comment before that, well, if you're not a business in the European Union, then you're probably okay. But actually, what I've learned over the last year or so, no, if the customer is in Europe and interacting with your American company, you may very well be held liable. And so following those more strict laws might feel like a real pain right now, but honestly, you're better off.
Well, and all websites are accessible. I remember when California passed their Privacy Act. Well, now that affects everyone in the United States because all websites are viewable from California.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to make sure that you're doing those things. It's why, hemp is like really big right now, and anyone who has those websites, they have to put up the pop-ups. Like, you are certifying that you are here to be able to enter. And it's really important to stay up on those things. And I feel like the more organized you are with your own data and your own information, the more compliant you're able to be and the safer you're able to keep your company.
Yep, absolutely. Agreed. We're in alignment. We're in alignment. I love that.
Awesome. Well, I'll just ask you one last question while I got you. I know you work with HubSpot and you help people setting up their HubSpot connections. What is like a pro tip of someone who's moving from the spreadsheet, creating a list of, who their people are, jumping into the CRM world? What would be your one or two takeaways that you would give them as they're making that transition?
I mean, one of the first things, in my opinion, it goes back to data again, right? Like I'm gonna feel like I'm really like feeding a fed horse, so to speak. But it really is about that data. And so understanding data management is critical. When I do a training cohort, I do an onboarding journey, whatever it is, my first session is always, without fail, data management. So understanding how the data is broken up. Like in HubSpot in particular, what are the objects? What are the records? What are the properties in those records? How do we associate these different kinds of things? If you've got some contacts, the human beings that work for one company, are they associated? What are the properties? Do they, like, if company name doesn't flow over into the company object, how do we get it to or whatever? So a lot of those questions, if you have a spreadsheet that has the columns, the headers, those are going to be your properties in records. Have you created them, or do you create them on the fly? Like, what are the kinds of properties, the field types? So that conversation has got to be the first thing, in my opinion. And I've seen people do it where they just kind of do it on the fly, and 6 months later, they're still fighting it. Those who take instead an extra 30 days to really do it strategically and purposefully, in 30 days, they're good to go. Like, they spent the 30 days instead of just a 1 day, but they're good to go rather than 6 months later going, oh, this is garbage. Now what do we do? So that's a big one, right? Data management. The second thing is a lot of it you can do on your own. Totally agree. I'm never there to try and push our services where I work on anybody. What I do say though is like, much like I'm a writer at heart, I need an editor. If you're doing this transfer of some kind, it really does help to have a second set of eyes, or third or fourth maybe. So if you work with like an actual partner, great. Just find someone in that world that can give you a little bit of advice, then that's great too. Don't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone.
Oh, certainly. I think delegation is key whenever you're working with any systems, and make it so it's easy to delegate. I know all of us are growing teams, all of us are dealing with changes, and you want to make sure that your backbone system, whatever that system is there and ready to engage. And it is worth the time to invest. I'll tell you, Snowhorse Marketing, we are very system oriented over here. It's how we're able to do what we do.
Yeah.
And it makes all the difference. It
Yeah.
makes all the difference. I meet many agency owners like chat with me and message me, and they ask what I do, and I'll literally show them we are organized this way, and that is the difference. And it makes it all manageable, makes it doable long term.
Yeah, it's wild how those boundaries and guardrails and the systems really help us be that much more creative, that much more innovative. Like, give me guardrails and I'm gonna create something really cool. Give me the open world and I'm gonna paralyze. I'm gonna do it wrong. So yeah, systems are amazing.
Well, and it also helps you find places to automate, like, so someone's not having to remember to send that thank you gift card to the client. Like, oh, we can automate that.
Yeah.
They've been with us this much, let's automate that, right? Whatever
Yeah.
it may be. And it also takes a lot of the mental load off of the individuals as well, where they can come in and just be focusing on their tasks instead of figuring out, oh, what am I doing today? And that really does help productivity for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. If someone was wanting to connect with you or learn more about you, what would be the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, I mean, so it's easy to find me. You can either go to our website, impulsecreative.com/Dan, or if you just look up Dan Moyle, Moyle, you can find me, danmoyle.com. I'm on all the socials that way. So however you want to connect with me, happy to chat marketing and nerd out about this stuff, or any kind of business growth. So there you go.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for being here today. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.